Welcome, everybody. I am your host, Nick the Slick Johnson, joined by the amazing Jacob Snyder, the man who make your day brighter, Snyder.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about a little bit of movie news. So first things first, Superman Legacy, written and directed by James Gunn, has officially found its Superman / Clark Kent and its Lois Lane, played respectively by David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan. And I, for one, am pretty excited. I love Superman as a character, is my favorite superhero. And I'm excited to see what James Gunn is going to do with it.
So was that a surprise casting to you? Because I know Cornsweat, something like that. I know he's been in the running for a while now, and I've been kind of just assuming he's got the part for a while now too. Because I've just been hearing so many rumors, you know.
I'll say it wasn't so much a surprise for me because, like you said, I had kind of seen him associated with the role a lot. Like a lot of people were just fan casting him for the role. And when it was announced that James Gunn was going to be taking over and that it was going to be a newer, younger version of Clark Kent, a lot of people were saying cast David Corenswet because he looks like the character. I guess certain aspects of his personality just remind people of the Clark Kent Superman character. And another reason, which I thought was interesting, was a lot of people were saying he just looks like Henry Cavill anyway, so it would be a good transition. But if that's the case, just cast Henry Cavill. You know what I mean?
Too old. Can't play superhero anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
He's almost, 40 or something? Wow, get out of here.
But when Robert Downey Jr. started playing Iron Man, he was like 38. That was in oh wait. Get out of here with your facts and your knowledge. But no, yeah, and I haven't seen David Corenswet in anything, but I've seen clips of him in like interviews and stuff like that.
This Superman casting was the first thing I'd even heard him in before.
He was in you remember that movie X?
I do remember that movie X.
And he was in the prequel Pearl.
I never saw Pearl. I didn't like X. But cool, I guess.
That's the only thing I got. And he was on the show, I think it was called Hollywood or something like that. It was so I guess a lot of people had kind of seen him in that, but with Rachel Brosnahan, I haven't seen her in anything. I know that she was on the Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, I'm
not getting you a soda.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. But no, I've only ever heard good things about this show. I haven't seen it. Even one of my college professors, he was saying like, "Wow, this show is just marvelous," and I kind of just left it at that all those years ago. Yeah. But
worth a watch then.
Maybe I might check it out now. But
so we're still waiting to hear for Lex Luthor. And what are the other big castings that we're still waiting for this movie?
Lex for sure, but we also, I don't think we know who the specific villain is going to be.
Right.
I know that other DC characters are going to pop up. I think the Authority is going to pop up, and that's going to lead into like the Authority movie. A lot of people, well, not a lot, but I've seen a little bit of like comments and Instagram posts and blah, blah, blah. But some people were saying like, oh, cast Brendan Fraser either as Jor-El or as John Kent. I'm leaning more towards John Kent. I think that could be fun.
John Kent would work for sure.
Because he has the acting chops. And who doesn't love Brendan Fraser?
Exactly. And before we move on from this story, I do want to just mention that right now, I believe the two Skarsgard brothers are in the running for Lex Luthor. And Nicholas Hoult, poor guy, has just been trying his damnedest to get Batman, to get Superman, and I believe he's trying to get Lex Luthor too now.
I could kind of see him as Lex.
I kind of just want someone to give him a chance in like a big role like that, like a pivotal role, not big and as a side character like the Beast in the X-Men franchise. No, because I like him for like no real good reason. I just think he's never ruined a movie he's been in. So I want him. I'd like to see him in a role like that.
Someone said he would probably kill it as Manchester Black from the Elite. That could be kind of cool, I guess.
That could be interesting. Yeah. That could be really interesting. I didn't really want to see Manchester Black in Superman Legacy, or just do the Authority, which they are.
Well, see, that's the thing. Manchester Black could potentially work like as an Authority character, because in the newer comics, Superman meets up with the Authority and he's like, I need you guys to be my team because da 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 da. Oh. I didn't read the whole thing yet, but Manchester Black I remember he was involved in that, and it was a slightly different version of the Authority. It wasn't the exact team from 1999, 2000.
Okay.
But Nicholas Hoult, I have mixed feelings about him. It's
why?
Well, so going all the way back to the Batman, when it was like, okay, we're trying to figure out who we're going to cast. And I remember Nicholas Hoult and Robert Pattinson were up for the role. I was leaning more towards Nicholas Hoult. I had seen like fan art of him, and I just generally liked him as an actor. And I had only ever seen Robert Pattinson in Twilight at that point. So I was kind of like I knew that
this was before you saw The Lighthouse?
I believe so. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. But you know what? It was before I saw The Lighthouse.
Okay.
Yeah. But and I knew that he had done more dramatic roles. I hadn't seen them, but it was kind of just like, I don't know, because I was more familiar with Nicholas Hoult. So that's why I was like leaning more towards him. But then when Pattinson was cast as a Batman, it was like, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I could see that. That's interesting. And then obviously he killed it as a Batman. And then with Superman, I never saw him as Superman. I never really saw him as Lex. I talked to you about it, and you were like, well, Nick, he has like these acting qualities. So it was like, okay, I could warm up to him as Lex. But even then, it's like I don't necessarily want like a younger Lex. I would like to see the more classic, traditional version of Lex on the big screen, because, you know, they did the younger Lex in BVS. While I liked what they were doing with them and I appreciate it and everything, it's like I do want to see the more traditional version.
Right.
With that being said, out of the two Skarsgard brothers, I would prefer Alexander Skarsgard for the role of Lex.
I would really like to see Bill personally. Like, I get where you're coming from with Alex Skarsgard, because he kind of has this intimidating nature about him that Bill doesn't really have.
Plus, he's older than Superman. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or at least he could play like older than Superman. Like, what's he like in his late 30s, early mid 40s or something like
Sounds
that?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
So it would be cool for me to see 25 to 29-year-old Superman with a early to mid 40s Lex. I would really like that dynamic.
I personally would just want to see Bill Skarsgård, because he's really good at finding like traits and little elements in his character and making them like bigger or creepier. And, you know, obviously I'm kind of referring to Pennywise, but also his recent performance in John Wick 4. I really liked how I was able to like get into his mind and how he was feeling without like actually hearing his thoughts or anything. Because like just how he was interacting with people and just how he was throwing his power around. It's like that. If done smarter, because his character in John Wick 4 he was too haughty. If done a little bit smarter, that's Lex.
I'm with that. I like that idea. I see what you're saying. Just me personally, I'm still like, I think I would cast him as someone else. Maybe the Joker, but that's kind of too on the nose because, like you said, he did Pennywise. And I think when I was hearing Skarsgård's name attached to it, one thing that had come up was, I think, like the Swamp Thing. So I could kind of see him as a Swamp Thing character, as when he's the human scientist before he makes that transition, and maybe they could do body horror stuff after he becomes the Swamp Thing and stuff. But yeah.
Moving on from Superman Legacy, another bit of news we got this week was from Greta Gerwig, who you might actually know. You may have heard of her upcoming movie Barbie, which is coming out July 21st, 2023 this year. Same day as Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. But it was announced that she will be doing 2 Narnia movies for Netflix, of all places. Yeah, and I find that number kind of interesting. Like, just 2?
Maybe it's just 2 for now. Get these 2 done first, and then maybe we'll see if we want to do the other books or future projects or something like that. Or maybe the first movie or the first book is going to be a 2-part movie. Maybe it'll be something like that.
I would actually really dig a 2-parter for the first one because I was never that big of a Narnia fan.
I was
personally.
just about to ask you that.
Yeah, no, it was never my thing as a kid. But I do remember just a ton of shit happening in that first movie. So maybe, and I'm not too familiar with Greta Gerwig's style. Maybe her style is a little bit slower, more methodical, that kind of requires 2 parts for the first book.
I don't know. She seems very versatile as a filmmaker. I haven't seen any of her movies, but she did Lady Bird, Little Women, and Barbie, which just seems completely different, so I don't know, maybe she just like has a unique quality to be able to faithfully adapt literature or something like that.
I hope so because I know Narnia is huge for a lot of people, and I kind of want that. I want to feel that too, because I don't want to not like it, but it's just those old 2003-4 movies, they never really clicked with me. So I'm totally down to give it another shot. I honestly thought this was going to happen on Disney Plus, though. I thought something like this was already in development.
I guess I didn't. I just heard about this a couple days ago.
We're keeping this in.
I thought this was already in development. Okay. Maybe it's one of those things where it was in development, and in those very, very early stages of development, it was like, should we give it to Disney or should we give it to Netflix, or like, who should we give it to? And I don't know, maybe it initially was going to go to Disney and then the plans fell through, and that's why Netflix has it or something like that.
Maybe. I know Netflix has been trying to make big moves recently to try and up their subscriber count and keep people entertained, especially with Stranger Things winding down, Henry Cavill exiting The Witcher. They need something, another big hitter, and maybe Narnia is it. Who knows? I do know they have Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2 coming up.
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that too.
You know what? Speaking of which, I don't know if you've seen that new Kraven trailer. What am I talking about? Of course you have.
Yeah.
Because that's how we do over here.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it a couple times because I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Let's talk about it.
Sony is at it again. Another smash hit following Morbius,
home run,
following Venom 2, following Venom 1. Really looking forward to their Spider-Verse, which actually I am looking forward to into Across the Spider-Verse, Beyond the Spider-Verse movies, but not Kraven.
Yeah, and it's weird too because Kraven is actually, he's such a cool character. He's such a fascinating character from the comics.
He's interesting.
Yes, and then when this movie was announced, like, oh, we got Aaron Taylor Johnson to play Kraven. Okay. It's like, I like Aaron Taylor Johnson as an actor. I like Kraven as an actor. I never would have thought to cast him as Kraven. And then, the news is coming out. Oh, we got Russell Crowe to be in the movie and he's going to be his father. And then, I come home from work one day. Jake is like, yo, the trailer. And I put it on and wow. Was it just not good? I think it has like some stuff kind of going for it. Maybe.
I mean, I guess it's always possible. It just was a bad trailer, a poorly made trailer.
See, that's the thing. This trailer was terribly made. You could tell a lot of it was just cut to shit. I'm watching it, and first off, it's all these characters like saying stuff, but then when you see them, they do that thing in trailers where they're saying something off camera, and then when it cuts to them, you only see them at the very end of that statement, but it's still like the movement of the mouth does not match what they're saying, so it just seems off like that. Like, again, like let's just cut this together real quick, and then put it out there. So it has that going for it, or I guess not going for it.
Yeah, against it.
Wow, it was just bad. He had that line like, I looked death in the eye and saw who I really was. And that's a line that should be perfect for a trailer, but the delivery of it just seemed incredibly half-assed. And then those shots of him, we were just talking about it, like the shots of him where the camera's behind him and he's doing that weird like animal kind of stance like that.
Yeah. And yeah, I was saying maybe in another movie or just another scenario, another context that would look cool, but something about, and maybe in the movie it will be better, but something about seeing it in the trailer, it just looked so cheap. I don't know how else to say it.
Yes, I was incredibly disappointed. And then also just the dialogue and the lines that they had in this trailer, it seems like it's trying too hard to make him seem like a cool badass.
Right. Like all the Russell Crowe's lines about being weak and throwing you away. It's like I feel that philosophy works for the character, but something about him just saying it out loud like that, just dumping it all, no subtlety, no. It's
forced.
That's
the problem with it right there. And it's like, oh, it was just, I wasn't feeling it, man. And then the whole, he low-key has lion powers and he uses his connection with animals to hunt people down. Man, I was flabbergasted when I saw all of that shit. And then the whole, there's 6 of us. There's 6 of you now. I'm like, oh, okay, it's one of these types of movies.
And actually, let's clarify something we said a couple minutes ago. We said Kraven from the comics as is already a cool character. And we didn't really explain why that is. And I feel like we should say, because it's a Spider-Man villain, obviously. He goes toe-to-toe with Spider-Man, but he doesn't have any powers.
I think he is slightly enhanced, though, but doesn't have powers. But yeah.
So they're giving him powers just, it seems like for the sake of it. Like instead of making this interesting villain, they're trying to make a interesting, like sympathetic anti-hero that has powers that I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased against them. They seem lame to me.
It seems like they're trying to do the Spider-Man thing without having Spider-Man in it, and that just generally I'm getting kind of tired of that. With the Tom Hardy Venom, it was like, okay, sure, because we don't know exactly how this fits in with Spider-Man, even though you can't really have Venom without Spider-Man. But the first movie, it was straight, it was cool. The second movie was made, and now they're doing Kraven, and they have the Rhino character in it, and it seems like, I have a theory, I don't know, it's just a theory right now, but I'm wondering if Venom and Kraven, and I don't remember, were there any other like Spider-Man villain movies that came out?
Morbius.
Okay, yeah, Morbius. So I have a theory, Venom and Morbius and now Kraven, I'm wondering if they all exist in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe, because specifically with Kraven, well, let's backtrack this. With the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe, we know that they were genetically experimenting with, other like animals like lizards and spiders, obviously, and blah, blah, blah. So when we saw the lion in this trailer that attacked he attacked young Kraven, you notice how huge that lion was?
That lion was buff as shit.
The lion was huge. And then at the end of the trailer, when he asks, like, do you want to see why they call me the Rhino? We see him take a tube out of his side and we see his arm transforming. Now, I don't know if it was like he has put a serum in him to transform, or if if the tube that he took out was what was keeping him human. Like maybe some sort of rhino experiment in his past went wrong, and you know what I mean? And so it's like
I was a part of some sort of freak rhino experiment as a child.
There's like genetic mutation and splicing and all that stuff. So maybe like that serum was supposed to keep that rhino shit at bay. So like when he takes it out, he kind of like Nicholas Hoult as Beast or whatever. Like maybe he just like hulks out. And again, like what if that's the parallel? Like within this Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe, they're trying to do some shit with genetic splicing and genetic experimentation. So that lion may have been a product of whatever Oscorp was doing with those experiments. And that's why when he got bit by the lion, when it mixed in with his blood, that's why he has those lion-like abilities. He said he has connection with animals and that's what he uses. So I don't know if he just...
You can like see what they see, use them to hunt his prey, something like that.
Yeah, but we only saw him really, really using, I guess, lion or feline type ability. So I don't know if it's just that, or I don't know if something happened. I don't know. Like he got bit by a bunch of different animals. That's why he has a connection with animals, plural, or something like that.
Maybe it's something like the lion is the king of the jungle or whatever, and therefore he kind of has dominance over all animals. Some weird like contrivance like that.
Speaking of contrivances, and to your point, maybe the lion was experimented on with whatever happened, and it also just ate a bunch of other animals, so it had all of their abilities. So then when it finally bit young Kraven, that's why he has the abilities and the connections with all of the animals. It's all of the animals that the lion ate. But
that would explain why the lion is able to maintain that fucking muscle mass.
Yeah,
it's a lot of protein.
That motherfucker was big, but it's all speculation. All that is to say,
all it is to say, I'm not really looking forward to it.
Basically, it was very, very okay. Like some of the action sequences look cool. It looks violent, which that's what I would want in a Kraven solo movie, I guess. But it's weird to watch him running up walls like a cat and biting people's noses off. And it just, again, it seems like they're just trying to make him seem like really, really cool and really, really violent. But for me personally, it's not working. If you're gonna, and I don't know, are they setting up for some sort of Sinister Six movie? Why are you guys setting up all of the villains and not Spider-Man? Have Spider-Man, but even then, and I know I'm kind of rambling. There was a shot, all these spiders were coming down from the trees, and I don't remember if this was something I heard about the movie, or if this was in the comics, but one of these versions of Kraven does have a fear of spiders, like, for some reason, and there was like a deeper reasoning behind it. So maybe I think if they bring in Spider-Man, like the Andrew Garfield one specifically, that could be why he becomes so hell-bent on killing him, basically. Like, maybe he has a respect or a fear of spiders, and Spider-Man would be the embodiment of that. And
right.
Blah, blah, blah. I'm Kraven the Hunter. I have to like hunt and conquer. That's the biggest obstacle I can think of. I'm gonna go after that. Maybe he even forms not the Suicide Squad, the Sinister Six. And he gets Venom and Morbius, because spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the end credit scene of Morbius, the Vulture's there too, and it seemed like they were trying to team up. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
It really feels like you're trying to have the success of Spider-Man without Spider-Man. And there's nothing inherently wrong with these characters like Morbius, the Vulture, Venom, Kraven. There's nothing wrong with them, but it's like,
but they're not main characters.
Yeah,
they exist to go up against a main character.
Yeah, you're making anti-heroes out of all of these villains. It's like, but it's just have the antagonist be Spider-Man or something like that.
But also, I will say, I feel like this idea that Sony is pursuing of building out their villains gallery, their rogues gallery first, and then maybe introducing Andrew Garfield Spider-Man to fight them all, I don't think that inherently is a bad idea. It's just their execution has been awful so far. Like, it's been rough. I didn't like either Venom movies. I thought the first one was better than the second one, but I feel like the second one was easier to watch just because of how fast paced it is. But either one of them are kind of below average, in my opinion. Morbius was a meme. Morbius is a non-factor. Like, that shit sucked. And then here we are, and it looks like we have Kraven, to me, kind of looks quality-wise like a mix between Venom 1 and Morbius. And I am not psyched to go see another movie below average building up to something that may or may not ever happen, you know?
Yeah.
I don't understand who is in charge of making these movies at Sony, or at the very least, who is in charge of the quality control? Like, what is going on?
Is there even quality control?
All these questions and more next time on HeadCanon.